Hi, Rouslan. So it looks like your exam is coming up, so let's get you corrected here. Let's see what you wrote. This is the one about spending money on weddings. Let's see what you said. The issue of whether there's an H here, young people, should spend tremendous fortunes on their weddings or keep this money for something else has grown in importance over the last decades. Full stop. Although it is a keen wish of every girl to have a Disney ball, a like wedding. No, to have a Disney-like wedding, maybe that's what you really want to say here, it must be mentioned that the structure of modern society may suggest more reasonable investments for a new family. Okay. This essay will discuss advantages and drawbacks of this matter using examples from Russia and Oxford University, capital U. Let's see, do the benefits, now they asked you really point blank here, do the benefits outweigh the drawbacks? So you didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me if they do or not. You just said that you're going to discuss them. That's not enough. You have to answer the question in the introduction, okay? And you have to answer it because that's how you make sure that your position is clear throughout the response. Let's move on. Since the inception of the wedding tradition, it was likely for the families of engaged couples to spend significant amounts of money on a wedding to commemorate the date. Not it was likely, it was common. This is mostly because a wedding is traditionally addressed as a once-in-a-lifetime event that must be celebrated grandly is a better word here. You didn't need the adjective, you need an adverb, but I think grandly is a nice way to say it. Okay, furthermore, why don't you explain that to celebrate something grandly also requires typically a large amount of money? Extend this and bring it back to the issue of spending a lot of money. Furthermore, it is a rare chance to gather all the relatives together, which unfortunately tends to happen merely during funerals or weddings. Okay, talk to me about money again. For example, in Russia, a typical wedding would include rental of a luxurious restaurant, a number of limousines, and of course matching stylized dresses and costumes, I think you mean suits, for bridesmaids and groomsmen. Newlyweds would also be required to invite all relatives and friends from both sides, strengthening family bonds and connections by new acquaintances and friendships. The survey held among single Russian, careful with your spelling, women aged from 16 to 23 showed that they expect their wedding to follow this scenario and that they're looking forward to it with great anticipation. Therefore, it is considerably clear that there is a strong case for spending money on a wedding. Here's the thing. Somebody could very easily argue that some of these things could be achieved without tons of money. So I really wanted you to link this idea of money. Well, part of it is kind of implied here when you talk about the rental of limousines or luxurious restaurants. For example, you talked about all the relatives, all the friends. So I just needed you to really keep in mind at all times this idea of spending a lot of money and what are the benefits of it. So it's not so much the reasons why people do it, because that's kind of what you did here. Okay, but what are the benefits of this? Do you remember how the question was phrased? Look at it again. Do the benefits of spending a lot of money outweigh the disadvantages? What you really did here essentially is tell me the why this happens. Okay, so I think the closest thing you came to that dealt with more of a benefit was the fact that family bonds and connections are strengthened. That kind of resembled a benefit, but the rest of it really resembled a why does this happen. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I hope that's clear. Let's move on to your next paragraph. With the advent of women's rights, with the advent of the women's rights movement and total growth of the population, the number of divorces drastically grew during the last 50 years. Therefore, the value of a wedding as a unique occasion has been degraded, perhaps. I'm not really sure. I don't know if I care for that word in this context. For many centuries, women were forced, careful with your typing, forced to take care of the household and children with no right to refuse or express any frustration. But the 20th century changed everything, equalizing men and women on a large scale and provoking couples to split more in search, get rid of the A, of their true soulmate. Furthermore, increase, careful with your spelling, the increase of the population up to 7 billion through last decades also increased the number of marriages and accordingly the number of divorces. What are you talking about? Why are we talking about divorces and women's rights? I'm really confused. You're supposed to be talking about the drawbacks of spending a lot of money on weddings, and I've gotten more than halfway through this paragraph, and I don't know where that is. So let's keep going. For instance, a recent study by Oxford University, capital U, revealed that 30% of pairs in the UK fall apart after 3 years, and 50% do so after 10 years of marriage, which is 300% more compared to a similar study from 1983. Consequently, the largest drawback to spending money on a luxurious, careful with your spelling, please, ceremony is a transformation of an approach for marriage which makes a wedding a less special event. Okay, so you never got to the point until the last sentence. That's not going to work. You have to talk about the drawbacks of spending a lot of money. It should be clear. The central idea of your paragraph should be clear throughout the paragraph. The best way to do that is to have this sentence also in the first line of your paragraph so that what you're trying to argue and what you're trying to develop in the paragraph is clear. Okay, it absolutely wasn't. It wasn't until I got to that last sentence. Although some still believe, careful with your spelling, that love may last forever, dull figures show that society has changed and the importance of a wedding itself has inflated. I don't know if I agree with that word here, especially in light of what you've written. Therefore, it is better to avoid expensive spelling on a ceremony in favor of going to a fancy honeymoon or buying something significant for a new family. Okay, I think I've been pretty clear about the problems. It's all in terms of task achievement. Here you were talking about the whys. Why do people do this rather than talking about what the benefits of it are? And here what you were trying to say wasn't clear until that very last sentence. So there are a number of problems in this essay as far as task achievement is concerned. And so, of course, this will create a problem in terms of your task achievement score. Okay, so we go on to your letter. It's the cover letter. You've got 3 things to talk about. Let's see how you did with them. Dear Sir, Madam, I'm writing to you in concern of a position of a PLC technician at the Mulberry Plant Division. Okay, we don't say that. I'm writing to you with regard to a position, or with regard to the position of this. Firstly, I would like to assure you that my competence is sufficient for the aforementioned position because I have graduated from Moscow State University with a master's degree, spelled wrong, in computer science, and because I have graduated from Moscow State University with a master's degree in computer science and am certified as an industrial, spelled wrong, millwright, spelled wrong, in the Canadian Red Seal organization. Okay, so lots of spelling mistakes, some grammar mistakes, but lots of spelling mistakes. I'm deeply interested in this particular position since I have always been willing to try myself in a dairy production. No, that's not how you want to say this. Let's see, how can you say this appropriately? I have always wanted to maybe challenge myself in dairy production, and if required, I am ready to be accessible with an eye 24 hours a day, stay for additional hours, and put all my effort into this job. Okay. At my previous position as a central, please be careful with your typing, central control unit engineer at Halifax Metalworks, please be careful with your typing. I have gained extensive experience in installing and carrying out maintenance routines for Danfoss VFDs and Siemens Series 300 and 400 PLCs. What is more, I have worked with a wide variety of sensors of almost all types: inductive, proximity, ultrasound, photoelectrical, diffusive, and laser capacity and vibration ones. Okay, I look forward to hearing from you soon. All right, now that's a little sudden. So What you really need is something to, how can I say this? Something to kind of link these together. So you've got your closing here, and then you've got this. So you want to say something like, please feel free to contact me at the contact information listed in my CV, or I look forward to discussing this position with you and how I can help in the continued success of your organization. So you need some sort of a closing statement here to really make it feel like you're ending a letter. And then you could say this, looking forward to hearing from you. And then we usually say yours faithfully. And then that would have been okay. All right. So for me, really, there's so many spelling mistakes that it's distracting. It's a bit of a problem. I want you to be a little more careful. This will absolutely lower your score, which seems like such a shame, but know that it will, because it'll have an effect on your lexical resources. Okay? Go ahead and correct these essays, Ruslan, and let's come back here with your error correction list and your corrected essays, and then of course a new set of essays. Okay? Good luck with them.